Picture this. You're standing in a radar bunker near Moscow on September 26, 1983, witnessing 23 minutes to the end of the world. An ordinary Soviet operator named Stanislav Petrov stares at a control panel where alarms are screaming, 5 American nuclear missiles heading toward the Soviet Union. But whispers follow because everyone knows the terrifying truth. This man's single decision will prevent World War III and save the lives of 5 billion people on Earth. And what he did that night represents one of the most courageous decisions in human history. This isn't just another Cold War story. This is about how a single man held humanity's fate in his hands, how one phone call decision could affect billions of lives. What follows is the story of the night when computer errors nearly ended civilization, and how human intuition saved everything we know and love. Before we dive into this forgotten hero and survival story, if you enjoy learning the hidden truths of history, hit that like button and subscribe for more content. Also, drop a comment telling us where you're listening from. It's incredible how we're exploring these critical moments together from different corners of the world. Stanislav Petrov's name might not sound familiar to you, but his story will haunt you long after you finish listening. The unlikely hero. When you first encounter Stanislav Petrov, he doesn't look like someone who would save humanity. At 44, he lives in a cramped Moscow apartment with his wife Riza and 19-year-old son Dmitry. You witness him leaving for work each morning. Tired, worried, but dedicated to a job his family knows nothing about. Since 1972, Stanislav has worked on the Soviet Union's most classified project, the early warning system designed to detect incoming American nuclear missiles. For 11 years, he's stared at screens that could one day show the end of everything. You hear the conversations in his kitchen where Riza complains about his nightmares. Stanislav, this job is killing you. You talk in your sleep about missiles and alarms. His response chills you. I'm just trying to protect the world. What Riza doesn't know is that her husband is one of only 12 people in the entire Soviet Union authorized to report a nuclear attack directly to the Kremlin. You realize that on this night, all of Stanislav's training will be tested in ways no one imagined. The most dangerous year in history. You need to understand how terrifying 1983 really was. You're experiencing the most dangerous year of the Cold War, more dangerous than the Cuban Missile Crisis. 8 months earlier, Reagan announced Star Wars. The Soviets saw this as preparation for first strike. 3 weeks ago, Soviet jets shot down Korean Airlines Flight 007, killing 269 people, including a US congressman. Both sides have been experiencing unprecedented false alarms. NORAD logged over 3,000 computer glitches in the past year that initially appeared to be missile attacks. The Soviets face similar problems. The technology meant to prevent nuclear war is malfunctioning, and both sides are getting trigger-happy. You witness Stanislav's final family dinner before his night shift. His son Dmitry looks up from physics homework. "Papa, my professor says only fear prevents nuclear war. Is that really how we stay safe?" You experience Stanislav's careful response. "Sometimes, Dmitry, safety depends on someone making the right choice when everyone else is afraid." Neither knows how prophetic those words will become. The night everything changed. You descend into Serpukhov 15, an underground radar facility built to survive nuclear war. Thick concrete walls, filtered air, supplies for a month. It's designed to function even after Moscow burns. The control room surprises you, smaller than expected, packed with terminals showing the entire northern hemisphere. You witness Stanislav taking his position at the central console, connected directly to the Kremlin's nuclear hotline. It starts as an ordinary night. American satellites move in routine patterns. You experience the calm before humanity's closest brush with extinction. 3,000 miles away, technicians run maintenance on satellite systems. A single line of code gets modified incorrectly. This tiny error creates cascading false signals that reach Soviet radar arrays as apparent missile launches. At 0:15, you witness everything changing. You experience the moment when red alarms explode across every screen. Beep! Beep! The sound is deafening, designed to cut through any distraction. The system screams, "Enemy attack, first-degree alarm." You witness the computer calculating casualties in real time. Moscow, 8. 2 million dead in the first hour. Leningrad, 4.7 million. The numbers climb relentlessly. You feel the other technicians freeze. Someone whispers, "God, is this real?" You realize Stanislav faces more than 5 missiles. He's choosing between his family's lives and starting World War III. About 23 minutes to decide the world's fate. You experience the horrifying data. 5 American ICBMs launched from Montana. Flight time 23 minutes. Moscow is a primary target. Protocol demands Stanislav immediately call the Kremlin. That call would trigger Soviet missiles toward America within 15 minutes. You witness the training drilled into him for a decade. Trust the system. Computers don't lie. Radar doesn't make mistakes. If you see missiles, report missiles. Hesitation kills millions. You realize the terrible truth. If Moscow gets hit, Raisa and Dmitry die. If he reports the attack, American cities burn. Either way, the world ends. First minute. You experience Stanislav reaching for the red phone, direct line to nuclear command, then stopping. "Wait," he whispers. Despite air conditioning keeping the bunker at 18 degrees, sweat beads on his forehead. You discover what's bothering him. America has 10,000 nuclear warheads. Their doctrine calls for massive retaliation. Why only 5 missiles? Second minute. You hear technicians asking, "Commander, what are we waiting for?" His cold response, "I'm checking." Third minute. You witness Stanislav examining data obsessively. The radar signature is wrong. American ICBMs should appear as multiple contacts when warheads separate. These show as single blips. Why 5 missiles when America has thousands? And why this signature? You experience the critical question forming, real attack or system error? Fourth minute. You witness him pick up the red phone, dial the Kremlin's number. His finger hovers over the final digit, then stops. He closes his eyes, takes a deep breath. You realize he's remembering his instructor's words. "Petrov, you think too much. In nuclear war, thinking gets people killed." Fifth minute. You witness the decision that saved humanity. "False alarm," Stanislav announces. "I'm not reporting it." You experience everyone staring in shock. "But Commander, if you're wrong..." "Then we all die," he says calmly. "But if I'm right, and I report this as real, Americans die. Then we all die anyway when they launch everything." What happened next would test every assumption about how nuclear war could start and how close we've come to ending everything. The secret that nearly destroyed everything, 6th through 10th minutes. You experience alarms still screaming. Computer projections show 50 million dead in the first exchange. 200 million within hours as radiation spreads. No missiles appear on secondary systems. You realize if Stanislav's wrong, he'll never know it. The first missile hits this bunker in 17 minutes. He'd simply ceased to exist. You feel him thinking about Raisa and Dmitry. If he's wrong, he never sees them again. If he's right but reports the attack, they die in America's counterstrike anyway. His station goes silent. False alarm confirmed. Stanislav was right. 11th through 15th minutes. You witness Stanislav desperately contacting other radar stations. Something impossible is happening. 3 facilities still show incoming missiles. The computer error affected multiple systems. Then something occurs that changes everything you thought you knew about that night. American systems detect Soviet launches that haven't happened. NORAD shows 200 Soviet ICBMs airborne toward the United States, but no missiles launched. You realize both superpowers experience simultaneous system failures. The same glitch creating false American missiles on Soviet screens creates false Soviet missiles on American screens. You witness both governments receiving simultaneous attack reports. The Kremlin is told America launched first. The White House learns the Soviets began World War III. A Soviet submarine commander in the North Atlantic also experiences equipment failures and believes he's under attack. He reaches for nuclear torpedo launch keys. 16th through 18th minutes. 3 separate nuclear scenarios unfold simultaneously. Any could trigger civilization's end. You experience the moment when Stanislav makes a second world-saving decision. Using emergency authority, he contacts Soviet installations directly. This is Serpukhov 15. Confirm false alarm on American launch. Repeat, false alarm. Do not trust primary displays. You witness other stations confirming secondary systems show no missiles. The submarine commander receives the message and stands down. False signals clear from both American and Soviet systems. You experience both sides realizing they've stared into nuclear war's abyss because of computer errors, not enemy action. The immediate crisis passes. But for Stanislav Petrov, the real nightmare is just beginning. The hero no one could honor you experienced Stanislav returning home the next morning. Reiser greets him. "How was your night?" "Normal," he lies, hands still shaking. You understand he can't tell his family he saved the world. This secret could endanger them. You witness him beginning to doubt himself. Were those really false alarms? That afternoon, 3 men in a black Lada arrive at his apartment. They don't knock, they have keys. "Stanislav Petrov, we need to talk." You experience Reiser's frightened eyes, Dmitri dropping textbooks. In the Soviet Union, KGB visits often mean people don't return. "What happened during your shift?" Colonel Kozlov asks, settling into Stanislav's chair uninvited. "My report is on record," Stanislav responds calmly. "You didn't follow procedures. Protocols are clear. Any missile detection gets reported immediately. No exceptions. You witness the choice. Confess to system error and face punishment, or stay silent and protect family. Kozlov offers a third option. Sometimes equipment malfunctions. If that's what happened, we can ensure this reflects on technology, not the operator. You realize they're offering an out. Blame computers, not judgment. You experience his answer that changes everything. "I analyzed the system. I decided it was a false alarm. I made the right decision." "So you deliberately chose not to follow protocols?" "I prevented an unnecessary nuclear war." You experience the room falling silent. "This conversation stays here, Comrade Petrov. The motherland's security depends on operational secrecy. You understand this is both protection and threat. The man who disappeared. You discover the horrifying truth about Stanislav's following months. He receives neither praise nor punishment. He simply disappears. Not physically. He still works, still goes home. But officially, Stanislav Petrov ceases to exist. You witness him transferred to research with no operational access. Security clearance maintained but unused. Reports filed and forgotten. You experience his quiet retirement in 1984. Full pension, no ceremony, no recognition. The man who saved the world is celebrated by his family for ordinary achievement, while his real accomplishment remains forever secret. You witness Stanislav's following years consumed by nightmares. Not about nuclear war, but about the decision itself. "What if I was wrong?" haunts him constantly. You experience him developing what we'd recognize as PTSD, but Soviet heroes don't get such diagnoses. Weight loss, increased drinking, withdrawal from family. When Reiser asks, "You're okay, aren't you?" he lies. Yes. You witness him staring from their window for hours, imagining Moscow in radioactive ruins. You realize the impossible burden. He can't tell his family, "I saved the world," while living with the doubt, maybe I was about to destroy it. The truth the world never knew. When the Soviet Union collapsed in 1991, you witnessed journalists finding Stanislav, his first interview. "I just did my job." You also experience him waking at midnight thinking, "What if real missiles come next time? What if someone else is in that chair who doesn't think like I did?" In 2006, you witnessed Stanislav receiving a UN Peace Award. The ceremony is small. Most of the world still doesn't know his story. You experience him crying, saying, "This isn't enough." No award could lift "What if I was wrong" that he carried for over 20 years. You discover his conversation with UN Secretary-General Kofi Annan. Do you ever regret your decision? After long thought, "I regret I had to make it. I regret the world was so close to ending that one man's judgment mattered so much. I regret we built weapons that could destroy everything and trusted computers to decide when to use them." But the decision itself? No, I would make the same choice tomorrow. His last interview breaks your heart. "I'm not a hero. I'm just lucky. I was in the right place at the right time. But sometimes I think, what if someone else was in that chair? What if we can't trust their nerves next time?" On May 19, 2017, you learn Stanislav Petrov died at 77 in his Moscow apartment. Dmitri found him peacefully in his chair, looking out at the city skyline he'd once saved. His last words, "I hope you never face such a moment. But if you do, remember that sometimes the right choice isn't the one they trained you to make." What emerged after his death will shock you more than anything in this story. the secret that changes everything. From classified documents published in 2018, you learn that night Stanislav wasn't the only person who prevented nuclear war. At NORAD, Captain William Bassett also chose not to follow protocol when systems showed incoming Soviet missiles. Like Stanislav, he analyzed data, found it suspicious, delayed reporting long enough for errors to be discovered. 7 people on both sides made similar decisions to delay or question protocols. The world was saved not by one man, but by 7 who independently chose human judgment over computer systems. Only 3 of those 7 were ever told they made the right choice. The other 4 lived entire lives wondering if they'd failed their duty. You understand the real lesson. Nuclear war won't start from evil leaders or international crises. It will start from computer errors, communication failures, systems so complex no one fully understands them. Since 1983, there have been 26 documented incidents where nuclear weapons were almost launched due to technical failures. Most were resolved by individual operators making Stanislav's choice, trusting human judgment over computer systems. You realize Stanislav Petrov didn't just save the world once. He showed us how fragile our survival really is, and how often it depends on ordinary people's wisdom in extraordinary moments. The nuclear weapons still exist. Early warning systems remain fallible. Somewhere right now, someone sits in a chair like Stanislav's, ready to make a decision that could end everything. Stanislav Petrov taught us that in critical moments, we can trust human intuition over blind technology. But he also showed something more terrifying. We've built a system where civilization's survival depends on individuals making split-second decisions under impossible pressure. Sometimes this intuition saves the entire world. But what happens when it fails? At Untold Legends Stories, we bring you forgotten heroes' critical decisions every day. These stories deserve remembering, moments of courage that changed the world but were never fully told. People who made right decisions at critical moments but never received deserved recognition. If this story affected you as much as it did us when we discovered it, don't forget to subscribe with notifications. Tomorrow we have another extraordinary story of courage and life-saving you won't want to miss. In a world where such decision moments still matter, these stories aren't just history, they're preparation for choices we might all face.